the Starladder I-League Invitational. We have 7 teams remaining after SK's departure yesterday, but that number will shortly turn to 6 because we have the local domestic battle in the lower bracket between Navi and FlipSid. My name is Parla, also known as Mantrus, and I will be your host for the rest of the week. And I'm joined on the esports pool analyst desk by Kadian, Natu, and Vendetta. FlipSid versus Navi, it is the name of the game right now. Kadian, how are you doing?
I'm feeling really good today, actually. I had some sleep compared to last night.
Enough sleep?
Yeah, enough sleep. 7 hours. Peace.
There's never enough sleep.
Probably not. But I'll take this one compared to the last one. And yeah, as you mentioned,
this
Navi.
match is the one that no one thought was going to happen. Dobry, if you are not aware, put Navi into this lower bracket battle where they are essentially fighting for their lives against FlipSid. And so whoever loses this goes out of the tournament and will join SK in just out of the tournament. There we see the lower bracket on screen right now. SK went out to worst players after initially losing to Hellraiser, and so worst players are waiting for the winner of... no, they're waiting for a loser of an upcoming match.
VP, probably.
Yes, exactly. And this match now is still the first one in the lower bracket. Natu, have you got any initial thoughts on what we are about to see?
Well, about what we're about to see, what we saw yesterday. It turns out SK is the worst team. Yeah, I mean, FlipSid and Navi, that's always going to be interesting. Domestic battle within the CIS region. It's always going to be a tough one to call. It's going to be tough for the players. Obviously, Navi just coming back from an extended break in Counter-Strike terms, and obviously taking a bit of time for them to get back in the groove of things. FlipSid, obviously, this is the first outing for them with the Waylander on the lineup. Didn't start off too hot, getting kind of wrecked by Godsent, especially on one of the maps, 16-3. So, I think it's a moment where both teams want to prove a point. And unfortunately, they're going to be playing for the tournament lives here on their home soil.
Yes, exactly.
So
both teams
that's kind of rough for them, obviously.
Yeah, both teams with Ukrainian players, and we are here in Ukraine, in Kiev, in Dynamo Kiev's football stadium, which is pretty awesome. And Vendetta, have you got any thoughts on this match that we are about to see?
I'm expecting to see a bit of a crisper showing from Navi's, and I think this is going to be the end of the tournament life for FlipSid, unfortunately. So they're not going to have the most happy start to to their new roster's accomplishments, pretty much, in offline tournaments. Other than that, I don't see it being too much of a close game either. I would have expected FlipSid to put up a better fight yesterday versus Godsend. Obviously, we didn't see the game, but the results were pretty telling. So it seemed like a pretty one-sided showing, sadly. But yeah, no, this should be Navi's game to take. This is where they kind of need to get back into things, because as you progress through the tournament, you're only going to meet better teams. So you can't have the same kind of performance that you had versus Dobry yesterday if you want to have any shot at winning the tournament.
This first match will be played like yesterday's games inside, but the second 2 best-of-3s of the evening, or of the day, so to speak, will be played on the stage outside. We are just still getting that stage ready. There was a lot of rain over the night, so that couldn't quite be finished. Then you can see the upcoming matches on screen, actually. The first match, FlipSid Navi, as we've just spoken about briefly. Then HR versus VP, the first winners match, and then Godsent versus Dobry's ex-CSGL, whatever you want to call them, Innocent and the guys at 6. Well, 6 CEST time. And hopefully we can keep to schedule, and it'll be pretty awesome because everything will be going on out there on the stage. If you haven't seen it already, it looks absolutely awesome. It's just getting set up. Have you guys had a chance to look outside?
It looks sick.
Absolutely, yeah. So took a couple of pictures of it. It looks pretty badass, and especially with the entire stadium or the arena around it. It's a pretty special environment, so it's going to make for some really cool games.
I'm interested to see how it looks from the casters' perspective, because our casters from today are going to be, I don't know how to, the presidential box of the football stadium, so it kind of overlooks the pitch, overlooks the stage, very nice, and the first casters of the day will be Blue and Tom, and we're not exactly sure right now when that the match is starting, but we'll get into it pretty shortly. So why don't we start analysing this game in a bit more detail. What do FlipSid, the underdogs here, need to do to take out Navi?
Well, I mean, if we look at the lineup, obviously they lost Bundik to Hellraisers recently and got in at least as a substitute, or maybe not a permanent fifth yet, we don't know, but they have Waylander now. And he showed at the last major in Columbus that he single-handedly, if he has the game, can actually win maps, as we saw against Envious. So, I mean, potentially looking for something like spectacular from him. Also, obviously, Worlded it with the AWP has shown time and time again that he can be really effective. On the other side, Navi is looking for the rise of Guardian again because he was really missing yesterday. And even though Flamey and Seast had some decent rounds, it just wasn't enough for winning the series against Dobry Gaming. And I think Navi is really hungry to kind of get back and show that they are better than they were yesterday.
Nato and Vendetta, would you agree with that point about Guardian? Because as we saw on Train yesterday against Dobry, Seized was actually the more successful AWPer in comparison to Guardian, and Sparrow kind of matched Seized and was able to lift Dobry along with the plays of Innocent and co. to that victory on that final map.
Definitely. I think Navi needs Guardian in the situations where you sort of kind of struggle with your strategies. Maybe you're not getting your executes to work 100%. You could always fall back on the fact that you can go on a default, you can play slow and make sure that the Guardian is going to create those openings. Obviously, yesterday he was not managing to do that, especially on Train, really struggling super hard. It felt to me like he was just getting worse as the series went on and on. So on the third map especially, it was just totally missing from the picture compared to what it usually does. So definitely need to have him on the board, definitely need them to him to contribute. On the other hand, looking at the flip side, you want to obviously Waylanders, it's like Casper was alluding to, is an explosive young player, and also World Edit. I think he needs to be able to match Guardian here, assuming that Guardian is going to get back into shape and play, up to his usual standards. So it's going to be an interesting opping duel between the two.
Yeah, I think that's where it's kind of the make or break for FlipSid. Obviously, we don't know the maps yet, but most of the time when these teams play, they play maps where an operator can actually really bring it for his team, and World Edit has to be that guy for a FlipSid. If Guardian shows up, then I'm not sure if it even helps that World Edit is playing up to par, but he can definitely be the make or break point for FlipSid in this game. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be Waylander as well. We've seen him be a bit up and down, as oftentimes new unexperienced players are, but those are the two who are going to make it for FlipSid if they're going to get away with this.
And just also to add on the point, the fact that having two vetoes right now is, you're going to see Navi obviously take out Cash as always, but then they get the handpick on what do they feel FlipSid is the strongest on, and just veto that off the map pool as well, because these teams do share the similarities on the maps that they like to play. So I think it's just going to be rougher for FlipSid.
Yeah, the FlipSid actually had a really tough time going into this veto, because obviously, if you look at the previous matches they've played, when they played at Counterpit, for instance, FlipSid managed to take a map off of Navi on Cobblestone, and they did so in Pro League as well, as you mentioned yesterday. And that was kind of what sent Navi out of the top 4 for Pro League. They did not have a good showing on Pro League versus Godsent yesterday. So I'm not sure if that's going to ruffle any feathers, or if they want to, try to avoid that map by themselves. So, Navi have a lot of opportunities as to what they want to ban out. They can also ban out Overpass, which, again, is a really good map for them, but it's also a map where FlipSid has shown.
That's the one they lost to on Counterpit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, that's the one they lost on Counterpit. The other one was Starlighter, the previous Starlighter. But, in any case, a lot of the maps where FlipSid have done pretty well for versus Navi are maps that Navi can easily remove. It's not going to be an issue for them. They still have a wider map pool going into this than FlipSid do.
Yeah, I mean, for sure we know that, at least as Natus said, that Navi is going to remove Cash, and I'm quite confident that FlipSid is going to remove those too.
Yeah, they will.
And from that point on, it's basically, for example, Inferno is a really strong map, I see, at least for Navi. Or it's not their go-to pick, but it's something that you as FlipSid could remove. But then again, they had a decent showing against Garston, but how much are you going to put weight into that map or that matchup? Because again, they just took down Navi on the Pro League. It was after Malmö. Navi were maybe feeling a bit down and really not playing up to pair. But still, when FlipSid then has such a poor showing against Gadsden on that specific map, I think it was even their map pick yesterday.
Yeah.
Then it is quite scary, because how much can you rely? How much? I mean, obviously online results and LAN results is something different, so is it going to scare them away from this map pick?
Let's delve a bit more into FlipSid's team composition, because I think most people are aware of Navi, their structure and their reputation, so to speak. But FlipSid are a team also with quite a storied history. They're different players. We've got Blade, the leader, the guy in charge. He has been around for a very long time. Markelov as well, of course, an absolute veteran, someone who has achieved a lot in the game. Shara, he's got a history in 1.6. Maybe Natu, you can give us a few more details on that. Just to quickly finish, World Edit, yes, he is the AWPer for the team, and he has that potential, that star potential, but he's not necessarily consistent with it. And then finally, Bondik, the new guy who has come over from... No, sorry, not Bondik. Waylander. Bondik left. Waylander is now standing in for him, and Waylander was recently on Gambit with Dosia, Adrian, and those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, FlipSid has always been a team that's made it into the majors, basically. I'm not sure if they've missed one, actually, to be honest with you.
I don't think
not for some time.
Yeah,
I don't think they
have. Through their existence, so they always make it, but then they were quite notorious for picking up to 5 rounds a match, basically, for up until the last one at MLG. They actually got over 30, I think around 35 rounds without advancing. So they had, I think, 2 overtime matches, one that was like double overtime against NIP, if I don't remember correctly. So, I mean, there's definitely been slight improvements, but they're also a team that plays under a strict system. Blade likes to have all the strings on his hands, basically. So it doesn't necessarily fit all the players. I guess that's maybe one of the reasons why now Waylander is in a transitioning period, if he's going to want to join the team or not, because if it's going to fit him or not is still obviously going to be a little bit of a question mark. He's definitely going to bring in a lot of firepower. Shara, like you pointed him out, I mean, he used to be a stand-in for this team at a major. One point, I think it was when Simple was playing for them, and they
wasn't it Davcost? Or am I wrong?
It was Davcost at one point, and then Shara after. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're both, they've both been stand-ins for these players, and. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's been a team that I feel like it's been in the same position in the scene for a very long time, and kind of not being able to move forward.
Well, there was a big arrow in the heel, so to speak, or whatever, however you want to phrase it, when Flamey was poached from them over a year and a bit ago, when they were known as DAT, right?
Yeah.
And so Flamey moved then to Navi, and he was one of the players that was really bringing that team up, and so Blade then obviously had to reorganize the squad. Lots of changes since then. Simple was on the team at one point, and so they have had these star players, and they still have a lot of potential, like people always theorize that if Markelov were to play like he used to on 1.6, the team could be absolutely insane, but it's not happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, for those people that didn't follow 1.6 in 2010 onwards for a couple of years, I mean, Markelov was just lights out opper, basically just dominating everyone else with the ops. So I guess it's kind of, sad to see now compared to what he used to be. He's become this very support role. Yeah. You know, he's obviously bringing a lot of his experience and just like being a huge factor that way. But it would be great to see him really just try and unleash the AWP one more time and see how that works out, because he was super consistent. He was really explosive. He was mobile. He had all the qualities to be a dominant opper.
Yeah, and one of the points that you were mentioning was this kind of very good structure in the FlipSid team, and that's brought them to all these majors. But as you said, often the results has been lacking at the majors, and I think it's something to do with the individual skill not being high enough, because obviously against these tier 2 or 3 teams, this structure is really proving to be strong and it's really benefiting them. And the thing is, when you then meet teams who's like tier 1 and you are like the underdog, you need to have people who are stepping up big. And sometimes Worlded, etc., Bundik, when he was playing there, has been doing that online, and that has been giving them some upset wins. But on LAN, often Worlded has been really inconsistent. So either Bundik has been having a good game, or Worlded. It's often not that those two were at their peak at the same time. And like Blade is, at least in my eyes, one of the really good leaders in the scene. And it's always interesting to think about, like, if you were a coach or if you had like maybe better players to work around with, because to be honest, Shara and Markelov, for example, are not the 2 hardest hitters in the scene. Shara is he's a really good role player at like playing at the end of the sides of the maps and just like pressuring at the right times, maintaining map control, etc. And Markelov, I remember seeing him at some of the majors for Bundik, like an overpass, the flashes that he threw for him, etc., was like insane. He got his teammates so many free kills, and obviously a very clever player in Markelov. So,
and also he had
just before we continue with that, Natu, we've got an interview with Blade, so please continue after that.
Являлся это, но То есть не планировал, само собой, но предполагал, что такое когда-то может случиться. Но очевидно, что масштабы — это только плюс для киберспорта. Ну, какого-то же прямо ярого желания с ним сыграть нету, но... Ну, само собой, очевидно, что приятно обыграть было бы его в стычке, да, типа, то есть это как соперничество, оно всегда у нас, как бы, у всех, кто играет в киберспорте, в любом другом спорте, оно как бы в крови, то есть если его нет, то ты не сможешь, ну, тебе будет интересно играть. Но это было, как бы, очень не вовремя, у нас там, мы как раз вот начали выходить в нужную форму, в нужную кондицию. Вот мы когда взяли Шару, мы только начинали набирать обороты с новым игроком, и вот как раз только после менеджера мы сыгрались и, в принципе, были в неплохой форме. Но после проигрыша как-то так атмосфера упала. Это плохо, конечно. То есть видно было, что люди хотят изменений. Как только приходит сезон, часто у команд меняется состав, и они начинают полностью сначала вообще, с чистого листа. Вот. И нужно, чтобы игроки были морально к этому готовы, и тогда будет прогресс, мне кажется. В данный момент мы тестируем как бы и Вейлендера. Тестируем. Ему пока не очень комфортно играть, потому что, ну, правда, такой переход резкий от гамбит к нам, то есть немного другие роли, другие позиции. Видно, что ему тяжело, новая информация на точках, типа названия точек другие. Вот. Но посмотрим, у него есть хороший потенциал, но нужен, мне кажется, игрок, который будет обладать таким инстинктом, если, как грубо сказать, инстинктом убийцы. То есть он будет много убивать во время игры. То есть давать много урона наносить команде соперника. Вот такой нам нужен игрок, однозначно.
Blade there explaining that Waylander has that killer instinct, but maybe he doesn't feel...
tiger.
Yeah, he doesn't feel very comfortable in the team right now. Anyway, Natus, you were making a point before that.
Yes, as we were just discussing Markelov there, I mean, he did individually show up at the major, especially on Cobblestone against, I think it was NIPA again. So he obviously doesn't show up all too much nowadays anymore, as he doesn't have the role, but I think he still has some of the qualities that he could be, I think, more impactful if he was put in a different role. I don't know if it's something that FlipSid has ever thought about, maybe, you know, trying to test.
Do you think Markelov was faring better on his previous teams, you know, when he was on Hellraisers, etc.?
I actually think he's come into his own as of late here in FlipSid. Obviously, that could be depending on, you know, changing positions or changing roles within the team as they make roster changes, but as for Markelov, just individual performances, I think he's just been gradually getting better the last, let's say, 6 months previous to what he's done previously, because everybody had so high expectations of Markelov, you know, back in the days when they made a Starter Dragons and these kind of themes, but he never really lived up to the hype. But obviously, it's a pretty tall bar to kind of reach if you're Markelov coming in from that, you know, basically being a 1.6 legend. So, yeah, right now I think he's just doing better and better for himself, and hopefully it's not going to stop there, and hopefully we'll see him pick up an op at some point.
In my opinion, one issue I have with him right now is that judging from the way you see him after losses, and like, because obviously FlipSid, they do, well, let's be fair, they lose quite often. He's like, he seems a little bit too content, too satisfied with where he is right now.
Maybe he doesn't.
You don't see the like. Sometimes I miss the like back in the day when it was in Navi, 1.6 especially. Like if they would lose, they were demoralized. They would be like, you could see from the body language that they were really disappointed with the situation. But right now, when you see Markelov after games, it's like, yeah, we lost. Yeah, whatever, and then, you know, just mind his own, you know.
But that's kind of the thing with FlipSid, and it's like you mentioned, they've never missed a major, but they always seem to elevate their play when it comes around to major qualifications and that type of thing. Because you've seen FlipSid play horribly online and not do very well in offline tournaments, and then a major qualifier comes around the corner, and all of a sudden they play like a proper team, and they do really, grab some scalps and actually qualify for the major. And, you know, up until the most recent majors, they kind of falter in the group stage, but, you know, they've made it, so that's okay. And you kind of go through that cycle with them every time, so they just seem to hit a peak form whenever it really matters, I guess, for the biggest tournament we have.
For the stickers,
and they seem, yeah, exactly, yeah, like they seem to be in sticker shape pretty much. And,
yeah.
You know, if that's, you know, Blade said it in his interview, like he doesn't have that like strong will to play.
Yeah, well, I'm not entirely sure if that was a mistranslation or he doesn't have the will to play.
But like if he doesn't have like a, you know, I guess this strong urge to be better, and they're completely content with what they're doing right now, that is obviously going to hamper their improvement.
Yeah, I would be slightly aware if that was mistranslated or not. I don't know. Maybe we can clarify it later in the tournament. Just before anyone else jumps in, we have an interview with an extremely explosive player, Edward from Navi.
Да, физкультурой разве что. Там бегаю, плаваю, езжу на велосипеде. Вот. И из такого гуляю много. Косвенно связано, безусловно. Но напрямую, конечно, нельзя такие вещи связывать. Важно все, в общем-то. Точно так же, как и связан твой дневной распорядок, режим, с качеством твоей игры, с ясностью твоих мыслей. Там, и так, в общем, понимаете, вот дело в том, что не конкретно спорт связан, а нормальный образ жизни. Да, безусловно, майские праздники все провели с родственниками, с семьей. И еще мы тренировались много. Перед турниром мы тренировались полных 11 тренировочных дней. Непосредственно перед самим турниром.
У вас был буткемп или это было?
Нет, мы сейчас не практикуем буткемп. Мы сейчас только из домов тренируемся уже на протяжении, по-моему, года. Конечно же, отдых дает нам силы, освежает нашу мотивацию, наше желание побеждать. Мы тренируемся еще усерднее, еще больше. Вот. Но этот турнир для нас и этот отдых для нас скорее необходимость для того, чтобы поменять что-то кардинально в своей игре, для того, чтобы смочь превзойти, скажем так, свои результаты прошлые, для того, чтобы стать еще сильнее. Вот. И первый пункт перевалочный на этом пути для нас StarLadder. Всегда приятно играть дома. Здесь здорово. Здесь, я уверен, что за нас будет много ребят болеть на трибунах и создавать, наверное, впечатляющую атмосферу. Я, конечно, абстрагируюсь от этого всего и стараюсь не замечать, но, возможно, на каком-то другом уровне я все равно буду еще лучше играть.
Edward relishing the fact that he gets to play in the Ukraine. I think that is quite big for both teams, as we've already established. They both have Ukrainian players. It must be very exciting. You've had the pleasure, of course. I think you've all played in your own country. Have you played in Norway before, Halvor?
Yeah, not that it's like any tournament of this kind of scale there, but yeah.
Nonetheless, it must be such a pleasure and an extra kind of feeling of exhilaration to be able to play in front of home crowds. Could you each add a little bit on it?
I also witnessed the Copenhagen Games final of 2015 that must have been between Virtus Pro and back then TSM. And I can tell you this much, that they were rooting more for Virtus Pro than they were for TSM, so that was such a great final, and I really think that it must be such proud to play in front of a Danish
and in
crowd.
such a huge football stadium as well for these guys. The Dynamo Kiev stadium that we're in, that for a Ukrainian must be, even if you don't support the team, you must know the presence and the importance of where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a great believer of the whole home crowd advantage thing, but I mean, it is a great feeling to know that the crowd is cheering for you whenever you're winning around, and like you can obviously when you're having those like isolating headphones, you don't hear necessarily all too much, but you can feel the bass of like people, cheering and whatnot. So I guess it gives you a little bit of extra spice into it.
It'd be great to see a good turnout here, and over the weekend we'll see how that goes. Should we look a bit more then into kind of a rough idea of how you think this map veto will go? Because I imagine it will be coming up soon. Which maps? Oh, we actually have it on screen right now. So FlipSid have banned Dust 2 and Inferno quite predictably. Navi banning Mirage and Cash. Cash, of course, the one that we knew that they would. And then FlipSid actually picked Train. Nasty, please feel free to jump in.
This makes absolute sense. Dust 2 is a FlipSid's go-to ban, and then banning Inferno for me also makes sense because they're playing Navi, and Navi is a really strong Inferno team. Not entirely sure how much FlipSid is spending time playing Inferno right now, obviously, since we are in a transitioning period to having Nuke on the pool instead of Inferno. On Navi's side, Cash, well, they always ban that, obviously, unless they forget to ban Cuff. Mirage, I think that is just basically banning a strength out of FlipSid's map pool, and then we have quite a traditional map pool between these two teams. Train, pick of FlipSid, and then you have Overpass, pick of Navi, and Cobble being the decider. So I think this is the same map pool they played at the Counterpit tournament.
Could the
couple months ago.
could the train pick not only be because FlipSide feel comfortable on it, but also because they saw Navi against Dobry on it last night?
It's basically because of the fact that it's a comfortable map for FlipSide. I don't think it has anything to do really with Navi. What happened with Navi last night? To be honest with you.
More what happened with themselves losing Cobblestone, which was their go-to pick yesterday. So now they're looking for a new pattern to go through, and they saw potentially maybe some things that they could exploit in the Navi defense and in the Navi attack. But more than that, I don't think, like you said, it's not more than that to put into it. At this point, you also have to go and try to play to your own strengths, especially when trying to be the underdog. You need to be feeling comfortable. You need to be having some momentum going into this kind of matchup. So I see this map pool obviously as still being in the favor of Navi because they're just notoriously known for having a very wide map pool. And the structure that we talked about from FlipSide should be less than usually because of having Waylander in the team now. And I have a feeling in terms of just predictions that Navi should 2-0 this one.
That's quite a good point to mention Waylander, because one of the things that we know FlipSide sort of rely on, or one of their greatest strengths, is the leadership of Blade, functioning as a unit and utilizing specific executes and tactics. Maybe having the stand-in and Blade in his interview saying that Waylander doesn't necessarily fit in quite yet, it could affect one of their greatest strengths, which is the unity and leadership of Blade.
Yeah, obviously.
By the way, we can go to the cast after this, so
yes.
guys, final points.
I mean, when you do have that strict kind of a culture, way of playing, obviously you want to have the same five and spend as much time as possible so that everything, all the things you do come from the back of your head without having to think about it, right? But at the same time, obviously, it's Waylander does add a lot of potential firepower. So that is always going to be a factor in there. I think it's more, other than just the system, it's about, I think like we've kind of alluded to here, is the individuals coming into play. Orlin needs to be consistent, he needs to be hitting his shots. I think Waylander needs to play really well. They all need to like really rise to the occasion for them to have a chance here against Navi, because I don't think from a strategic point of view, there's nothing they have that much extra on Navi that they could just outright outplay Navi. So it'll come down to the individual, it'll come down to all the small situations in the late rounds that will dictate how this game turns out in when you're FlipSide.
Yeah, I think in many ways that, yeah, it's true what you said. FlipSide are normally a team that, you know, get by on their excellent executions and whatnot of strategies. And obviously that they're not going to have that as much today. So it's going to be up to, you know, guys like World Edit and Waylander to really pull them through here. And on an average day, they don't match up with, you know, pound for pound with the Navi players, and that's an issue because if you don't have the, you know, the added strength of having better executions on your T side, for instance, or, you know, better CT setups and that type of thing, or just synergy on the CT side than your other team, and you don't even have the individual skill firepower to go up against your other team, then you're at a bit of a dire strait, right? So it's going to be rough for
yeah,
for
guys,
FlipSide.
the game is about to start, so I must interject. Sorry, I've got the producer telling me we must move on. We are starting things off with the domestic battle between FlipSide and Navi. So let's head over to Blue and Tom.
Thank you very much, guys, and welcome to the Olympic Arena here live from Kiev. Myself and Tom ready to get into the first match of the day. It's going to be Natus Vincere taking on FlipSide Gaming here. FlipSide, fairly poor performance, but Navi as well, unfortunately not able to show up to their first match either. So now both of these teams facing a possible elimination in the first game of the day.
Yeah, this is going to be a really difficult one, I think, for FlipSide, especially after their performance yesterday. I feel like they really had to step up from what we saw. Navi especially, you kind of see teams, like big teams, when they go down the first day, they make a mistake, they go into the lower bracket, they come back 10 times stronger, and I just feel like they're going to have their absolute work cut out here. World Edit, as the analyst mentioned, he's going to have to go absolutely ham. Even with Guardian not at the top of his game yesterday, he was still posting frags in the first couple of maps at least. Obviously on train he was lacking, and that is our first map of the day, so he will have to step up there. But apart from that, I just feel like they're going to have so much to do. But I think we've seen yesterday from Dobry that they're not invincible. Navi came into this as the clear team that should be taking this very, very easily, and instead they lose 2-1 in their first game. So they're not invincible, but FlipSid, they need to really step up today.
I think the Des made a really good point when they were talking about FlipSid and that, like, you know, where's the motivation for this team? Like, where are we going to see them take their next step to sort of rise up to the next level? Because we really haven't seen anything fantastic of them in really a long time. And I think, like, as far as my entire casting career in CSGO is, like, I've never seen, like, this incredible run from FlipSid whatsoever. This would be a great chance to start one, however, being able to knock Navi out their first time coming back with Guardian to an event, them trying to reclaim themselves, and of course, if they knock them out right here, that would definitely be a bit of a story to take home with them at the very least.
Would be a huge thing if they could knock out Navi, but also, like, you look at the rest of the teams in the tournament, obviously Hellraisers, they're still sort of on form at the moment. VP are a massive name, but they're not particularly performing. But if they knock out Navi, that is momentum in itself. Just like, okay, we've beaten the #1 seed in this tournament, let's go on and finish it. And that's something that would be absolutely massive, not only for their confidence, but just also for their team in general, just to say, okay, well, we can clearly beat these better teams on LAN. Now let's do something with it. Like, obviously, there's the major, I think there's qualifications going on as we speak. There was definitely the minor yesterday in America.
Yeah.
But, like, it's almost the time where you think, if FlipSid can step up now and get into their A game with Waylander as well. Waylander was sort of just non-existent. But as you can see, the game is starting getting ready. We're going to go into the knife round. Of course, both teams will want to be starting on that all-favored CT side. And, well, how do you think Train's going to go down today?
Should be an interesting one. Obviously, I mean, it's not even a matter of how good your CT side is. It's just a matter of, it's just really sort of a matter of how prominent your T side strats can really pull off against your opponents here. If you're really going to bring a very basic sort of one-dimensional T-sided play to the game, then it's going to be very easy for the CTs to counter you out, regardless of how good they are at setting themselves up. But if you bring a much more complex style, it's very hard to read. Then you can dominate that side, and just through that in itself, you can essentially win the game by holding a big advantage. So, looks like Navi should be winning the knife round.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Well, of course, that would mean they're going onto that all-favoured CT side, getting off to the start that we want to see. And, well, something that happened yesterday was FlipSid, they didn't get off to a good start on Cobblestone, and they were pretty much out of the game before anything really began. They didn't get a chance on their T side, but Navi getting off to the start they want. I imagine they'll be starting on that CT side, and, well, you can already hear in the back. Well, I imagine you can hear. I can hear a huge amount of noise in the background, but we will be getting underway relatively shortly with the pistol.
It's fun to be on the main stream now, by the way, too, because we were stuck in the secondary stream dungeon the other day, so we didn't get to see all the cool effects, all the custom map changes and the team gloves and whatnot. Now,
well, the team gloves as well.
Now we get to spectate all that stuff.
FlipSid
team
team
for ourselves.
gloves. I love the FlipSid logo, so I'm hoping that they've got those in. If they haven't, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. But yeah, I saw a lot of people going crazy about that. A lot of messages sent to me like, oh, where can I get some gloves? I want to buy those gloves, but I'm not sure if they're actually for sale.
Log in, purchase them all. It's not a real update, that's just Star Ladder.
Just spam Valve, spam them.
It's a pretty interesting changes, and they're all over the maps too, so if you weren't here yesterday, be sure to keep your eyes in the game and all over the map, as I believe they've made some pretty cool changes to all the maps here, specifically here for the Star Ladder Invitational. But Navi winning the knife round there. We should be able to jump into the game in just a moment and get started with things, as they will be starting off here on the CT side.
Yeah. Well, talking about the map as well, I feel like this is a map that has huge economy issues. Like, if you don't get off to a good start on that CT side, you can actually be in some real financial trouble very early on. And, well, obviously this map, the main weapon that we are going to be talking about is that AWP, World Edit versus Guardian. A matchup where, well, you're always going to be thinking, okay, Guardian should be taking this, but obviously they've had a long break. Yesterday he wasn't amazing. Like, we didn't see the Guardian of, like, he can win a map on his own. So if World Edit is playing on point, which he was yesterday on Inferno, he really stepped up. Like, he was individually winning them quite a few rounds. It was only at the very end where things seemed to fall apart a little bit, but nevertheless, I feel like he has to go big again. He absolutely has to.
We were seeing some good stuff from Guardian in the first two maps. It was just never really consistent. Unfortunately, dropped off big time when it came to that third map. It seemed like he sort of ran out of steam there. So that is definitely going to be a good point here, because I mean, it was fairly consistent for World Edit. Really, in that second map that they played yesterday, he was really the only real consistent force that we saw working against their opponents in their match yesterday. So with him coming into that one, if he's able to take down Guardian a lot of the time, and if they can win, like, if we can see FlipSid taking control of things up to the first gun round, then that's going to be amazing, because they can completely deny Guardian from even really picking that up all that much. And not only this too, but the rest of the team, they're not even really going to be able to scavenge for rifles unless they're doing a fantastic job of maintaining the economy, which is like a really hard thing to do unless you want to go for some extremely light buys on that gun round.
Yeah. Also, the other player we haven't mentioned, someone who has risen through the ranks, who's mentioned about the fact that he moved away from the Blade team into Navi, but Flamey is someone who can, on occasions, just take a map completely into his own control. So if he's on point today, if we see like the sort of seized that occasionally just goes absolutely crazy. Obviously, I think we have Overpass coming up second. That's a map that, well, on occasions we've seen him go absolutely nuts. I remember, like, I think one of the positions where he's holding out the connector door, he just gets a quad spray. Like, there are points where Seas just goes off, and that's the thing that really scares me about this Navi lineup is anybody on this team at any point could just literally go off the chains, and there's not really too much that many teams can do about it.
I'm looking forward to see maybe the Guardian and Flamey duo come back to shine a little bit more. Those two working together, specifically on a map like Overpass, is where I think it shines the most. It's just this unstoppable combo on the CT side that you cannot get past, especially if Guardian's hitting the shots. Even if someone does manage to try and line up a flank against Guardian, Flamey's always there to cover his flank and make sure that he's going to be able to still stay alive and keep fragging, and Flamey as well when needed. If he does lose his teammate, he can still also pick up the pace behind that and shut things down pretty good as well. So with that combo working in itself, we see that coming back into the picture. It still should be a very dominating match in the favor of Natus Vincere, but they did have some struggles yesterday, so maybe we won't see that, and maybe we can see FlipSid manage to sneak through the cracks. But teams have readied up, guys, so we're getting into things here now. Once again, the first map getting started in just a few seconds.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. Of course, Pistol, it's going to be important, especially for the T side, because if they can get off to a good start, like that would be an instant 3 rounds. Obviously, you don't need many on that T side, but anyway, guys, we are going to be going in. You can hear people in the background. It is hella loud down here. And I'm tempted to steal the idea from our opposing casters, because they are currently playing with umbrellas. It is actually a beautiful sight if we could get a vision of that.
It's not raining yet. That is a good plan, though, for the future. But anyway, let's talk about the game as we're getting into things. Guardian may find himself in a battle very early on here. Markelov able to hold it off, and Waylander finishing off Guardian. He's going to be punished for that, a very aggressive push early on, and that's already going to leave Natus Vincere with a player down.
Yeah, straight off the bat, only 1 player towards B already, and 3 players pushing straight down the right side of A. So it is interesting, the initial play there, and Guardian, there was no chance for a trade. He was all alone, he went for the peak, he got some information, but that is all he got, apart from a bullet to the skull. And straight away, Waylander finding the initial kill into the round. No utility wasted either for that T side. Still a couple of smokes, P250, a frag, and a couple of flashes to go as well. And already we see Markelov, he takes down a second. Blade coming up big as well, finding 1 more. This is already looking great start for FlipSid.
No kills at all coming out from Navi at all, and in fact, they're still playing those aggressive movements. Flamey now pushing his way over to the back of the B bomb site. In the box holes right now, looking to take down Shard at the very least, but he has to give up that pursuit. Can't put himself in a good enough position where he thinks he's going to be able to grab that kill. So all that's left alive is seized up top. He's going to be able to surprise a little bit there, but Beam and Blade responds to that still, takes him back down. And now Flamey peeking back out. He's going to be the last one alive, but he's shut down. It's going to be a perfect pistol round from FlipSid to start off the first map against Navi.
And it's actually very surprising that Seas didn't manage to get a single kill there, considering I don't think they knew he was there at all, even though like he lurked there the whole round. And well, straight away coming in from the buy, you can already see the Deagles straight away from Navi, a very, well, Ukrainian style of play. We see it an awful lot. Triple rifles for the T side as well. They're not going to be taking any chances. The Umps onto World Edit and Sharon. Obviously, World Edit, he's going to be wanting to make as much money as he possibly can to start off this round. But already 3 players making their way over towards the B side. Bomb's still down. Not making a decision as of yet where this is going. But, well, a nice start already for FlipSid.
Yep, and Navi trying to figure out exactly how they want to posture themselves up for this one. Gone for actually a pretty heavy stack towards the B-bomb site initially. Normally they're only missing like 1 or 2 players at most, but they did have a 3rd in there at the beginning of the round. However, Blade does find the first mark, moving out, catches Zeus from outside of the T connector there, weakening the defenses on the outside bomb site, and this will be the prime target. World Edit getting hit directly by that nade though, and now we're going to see Flamey looking to try and find a couple Deagle shots if he can pick them up, but not coming out too well. What we did see though is Waylander dropped down to just 4 HP, and they're going to trade out guns because of that one. Waylander has to sit back now. Flamey has a chance to find some Deagle hits. Again, brings Blade down very low, but still no kills coming out as of yet, but they have done some great damage to the FlipSid.
The tags are absolutely ridiculous at this point. However, Shara is going to find the next kill in this matchup, and that nade could just dunk straight in. Not quite going to do the damage, although he will finish off the kill onto Edward in the end. Guardian and Seas remain. Obviously, with a few low players, those P250s could be absolutely deadly if they can get close enough, but unfortunately, they are in the completely wrong position. The bomb has gone towards B, and they are left remaining on that A site.
And with it just being Seized and Guardian, and essentially with them having nothing, the biggest thing they have is Guardian working with a Deagle. Seized just pick one up off of a dead teammate too, but they've got no armor, no utility, 0 chance for a retake is going to be happening here, so Time to fall away, save that for the next eco round here, as you're definitely not going to be able to impact enough for the retake.
Yeah, of course, we know that these guys can do some damage with the Deagles, and saving into the next round, while pushing with Deagles is not always the best idea. It's very difficult to actually find those headshots while moving, so although players like Nico can pull it off in ridiculous circumstances, I wouldn't say it's really worth the risk in this scenario. Though Shara, he may be able to find himself one more kill. Of course, he is playing, bit of a miss shot. Sketchy, but he does find the kill nevertheless, so they take down one player, only an ump dropped, and well, considering how low they got, not a bad round from FlipSid with 4 players surviving.
Regardless, though, FlipSid are still going to be able to continue forward. Not really a whole lot of losses coming into the picture, but Edward does now have that UMP. A little bit of extra firepower coming into the mix for these guys. And we'll see how much they'll be able to impact on this next eco run before they get the big guns into their hands.
Yeah, UMP is in play at the moment. I don't know how much they'll be able to do with this. Just going to try and make a little bit of extra cash. 4 rifles now for the T side, so they aren't mucking about at all. They want to get off to a great start here. Of course, World Edit, he's going to keep the ump. He wants to get onto that AWP ASAP. And, well, I'm not sure how much Guardian has actually saved in this scenario. He only bought a P250 in the last round, so I imagine he's doing all right in cash circumstances, but so far it looks like they are making their way over towards that B side. Going to walk straight into Flamey. He's going to find the first one, looking for a second, not quite going to find it. Does a little bit of damage to Shara, but nothing in the end. Edward playing in the pop dog position, but, well, unless someone jumps straight down onto him, I don't think he'll be finding anything in this round.
Yep, he's still stuck right now below ladder room, but what we do have is someone playing a little bit more sneakily, sitting behind the boxes. They spot that, but sees still able to hold on his own there. Picks up the kill on Ashara, and is now going to retreat out of the site, armed with an AK as well now.
Yeah, now they have actually lost a rifle. Things are getting a bit sketchy, but quickly Waylander, Blade, they managed to find a couple, and what on earth was that from Edward? Doesn't manage to find the kill at all, and it leaves Guardian alone, AK in hand, and surely this is just going to be a safe situation.
Nothing left for him to do, and again, same thing as that last round. He's got no utility, no additional armor to work with, and not even really an angle advantage that he can try and use against these guys from FlipSid. So moving in, he's going to try to find a way out, but he will find a duel pretty quickly, which Waylander will handle with nice class. Takes down Guardian, no saves at all, coming in for Navi. As we get into the first gun round, though, immediate investments coming in, and it does include a double op setup for both Guardian and Seized.
We do see the pause actually being called at the moment, but a double op to start things off, that's absolutely insane. That's going to be a real big investment. Of course, that does mean that if they do lose the rounds, their economy is going to be absolutely crushed. No money will be saved, but that's clearly the reason they went for the majority of those pistols, no armor, no Kevlar in the previous rounds. They just wanted to make as much cash as they possibly could.
And here's the thing, too, when you look at Navi, I mean, just look at the kills. Only 3 kills, a kill per round, essentially, over these first 3 here. They've barely made an impact at all on FlipSid. If this continues into the gun round, then, I mean, this is the problem that we were talking about before. They're going to let the T-side economy stack up, and they themselves are just not really saving anything too big at the end of these rounds. So they need to make sure that the CT side can continue to flourish a little bit here. And if they're not going to stack up rounds, at least try to keep the money in a controllable situation. So when you do start winning them, you can very quickly try to put your opponents onto a save at the very least.
Yeah, and something that's really important for me anyway to mention is Waylander has got off to a good start. And I feel like as someone, as they mentioned, is very explosive, very impactful, he needs to get off confident. He needs to start off with a bang, and he's already done that, 4-0. Going to be going into this first round. Of course, World Edit, he has spent up the majority of his bank to get himself that AWP. But now we are going to be going back in. Double AWP setup comes in for the CT side. We are going to be seeing both of those actually going towards the A site, so one towards Ivy, and straight up aggression coming out from Edward. He's going to push very, very far up. Bomb again left further back. We've got one player pushing the Ivy position, but at the moment, it seems like a major sort of A presence coming out from Navi.
Edward, very aggressive now inside of the ladder room. Going to wait and see if he can grab anybody from FlipSid on the drop down, as they are trying to set themselves up with the default. The smoke even coming in as well. Give them a bit of a false sense of security if they were to drop down inside of there. But for the time being, not going to see anything dropped in inside of there as of yet. FlipSid are holding back, very passive about their own setup for the time being, because they definitely want to run that clock down a little bit before they attempt to execute anything.
Yeah, and I've just noticed Caesar's actually playing very, very far up with that AWP, so if he does get traded out, or if they do decide to push that position, that could open up the B side very, very quickly. So it's a risky play, a ballsy play coming out from Caesar, but whether he can make it, we'll have to wait and see, as it does look like the A presence is getting ready to come in. A couple of players in Pop Dog getting ready to push all together as a team. This is something that Blade prides himself on as an in-game leader. The setups are definitely there, but let's see if they're able to execute in this scenario. You can already see them setting up some nades. Bouncing actually over onto the site, and there we go. Smoke start to rain in, although 3 players look like they may be getting ready to go towards the B side. However, the bomb is dropped. We're going to see a couple of kills coming early on. Edward Guardian seized, quickly picking up the kills. And now things are looking pretty dire. Waylander retrieving that AWP. Markelov with the AK, but wow, quick frags coming in, and that double orb setup does work out this round.
C's kill as well is an extremely aggressive one. Pushes all the way up towards ramp and finds that shot. So some of the players that are trying to push their way down inside the ladder room denies the hit entirely. And because FlipSid waited till so low on the timer to actually attempt to go for this, unfortunately, they're not even going to have time to try and attempt to find some frags at the end of it. Both Markelov and Waylander just got to save at the end of it and take these guns into the next round. Thankfully, because of the fact that their eco rounds or their anti-eco rounds were so successful, they're going to have no trouble at all buying into this next one. 6.4k sitting on Waylander, so they should have no problem whatsoever dropping a gun for Charlotte. So they'll be right back onto the grind here as far as the buys are concerned. But they are going to have to be careful now because that was an absolute class. That was like a master class play from Navi in the way that they just destroyed that play. The aggressive movement coming out there from Edward, I believe, inside of the ladder room. You see the aggressive push coming out from C's to the back of the B bomb site. Didn't leave them any room for anything. And even from Navi, we just didn't see them. Or apologies from FlipSid, we didn't even see them try to do a fake or anything. They just went for a direct play, and it was so easily readable by Navi.
Yeah, this time we aren't seeing too much aggression coming out from the CT side, although, again, we do have Flamey up close. A couple of players now over towards the B site. But straight away, Guardian manages to find himself a kill. What a shot from him. Going to be making this a little bit more difficult for FlipSid already.
That shot was incredible. It comes through the wall over to the back, over to the top of the ladder room. He gets it through the wall. So that's an incredible pickup from him. And now C's is going to look to find another one. He's blind. And it'll be World at it that does return the kill and finds the trade on the C's.
Important that he gets off to a bang as well. Of course, he didn't manage to do anything in the previous round, not a single player drop. So Navi's economy not looking too bad at the moment. Of course, though, they have only won one round, and it would be a straight reset. Guardian taking a bit of a tag through the smoke, but nothing he's going to be worried about as of yet. It is still going to be a 4v4. The bomb's still left in spawn, so yet to really decide, although majority of players do seem to be looking towards that A site, just looking down the pop dog position. Two players over towards B, one with the AWP already, so both orbs still in play as Cease goes down and Flamey picks it up.
Waylander pushing himself down now. They are going to have to start looking for control with only 30 seconds left on the clock. Waylander looking for a way outside of it first. Guardian still fragging though, picks up his own first kill. Zeus covering the retreat, still safe right now, and there's no Ivy pressure, so he's not going to have to worry about that at all, but he does overexpose himself to the short lane, so Markelov is going to take him down. It mainly falls to Zeus to hold this off, although they do have rotations coming back in. Zeus gives himself away, firing in the complete wrong position there, so now Markelov going to move in, tries to punish it, succeeds in doing so, and not only this, but World Edit's going to pick up a kill. Now it falls to Flamey, finds the first one, but he's got two more to go, and moving in, he's going to get pegged by an A, down to 44 HP. And he doesn't have any utility left to try and work his way back in. All he can hope to do is find one of these members of FlipSid, getting a little bit too aggressive with their positioning, and right now he's not finding it. They're playing this safe. They're hiding back. That jump should have been heard by Waylander, and he's also running out of time now, so not going to be happening. FlipSid trade the round right back into their own hands, and that's going to reset the CT economy.
Yeah, that's going to be a painful round coming in from Navi. Just a few quick frags, trades coming in. Guardian did start things off nicely, but World Edit, perfect flashbang comes out for him, and he takes the trade straight away. And well, the after-plant positions there were very, very smart just coming out. They didn't peek at all. They didn't make the sort of same mistakes we've seen in the past, like when we've seen clutches from Rain versus VP or something along those lines. No, they just sat in their positions, waited to see if he went for anything, wasn't able to take anyone down in the end, or the last two players anyway, and they do close their fourth round on the T side as well of Train.
But this, now Navi are going to be in a pretty desperate position here now, already allowing FlipSid to pick up this many rounds, and looking like they're going to be able to find a few more now with them having to go on to the save. Zeus will play that aggressive position inside of the ladder room again. And again, most of Navi actually still playing themselves very forward as far as their positioning on the outside yard are concerned. So FlipSid, to respond to this, just going to play back. No early aggression will come out from them whatsoever. And I think, similarly to a lot of the previous rounds, they're just going to try and run this timer down a little bit before they even try to do anything to look for kills or really any avenue into the site to begin with.
Well, this is just the style of play that both these teams seem to have. The T-side prowess of just taking things very nice and slow, waiting for a lot of those nades to be used. But of course, in this scenario, there really isn't any utility apart from the kit that is currently on Flamey. He also drops that AWP, of course, over to Guardian. So he's going to have to try and make a play. And of course, we haven't seen too much from him in the last few days. Like I said, he was okay, he was pretty good on the first couple of maps, but it's not Guardian. It's just an AWPer. So we want to see if he can actually step up. World Edit actually going to find that first kill, the aggression not paying off, and that's exactly what they need to do. Take that AWP out of the round, and now, well, now they can just slow things right down. Obviously 40 seconds left on the clock. Don't want to get too close to any of these pistols, and almost getting taken down there. Zeus managing not quite to take down Blade, only half HP, but They're continuing on. He's got another player close. Edward will find that kill, looking for a second, but no. Waylander going to trade, and Caesar's actually managed to get that AWP, but he's only going to get one as well. Did it very quick on the trigger, takes him down as well. Flamey again in a 1v3, this time just with a D.
That quick on the trade, and also we saw that impressive shot from them earlier. Be using the boost, they're going to catch someone from Navi with their pants down over towards that B bomb site. This round's essentially over. You can see right now Flamey trying to lurk his way over on the flank, coming in from the ladder room, but it walks right into the crosshairs of World Edit. So he's going to be able to find that final kill with ease. Putting another one up onto the board for FlipSid here, and it just seems to be a FlipSid show so far here. We've only had really 1 or 2 gun rounds from Navi, so I'm not going to be able to judge them so much off of that as of yet. But again, as mentioned previously, letting them get this big of a lead this early on is something that could prove to be dangerous if it continues for the rest of the half.
Yeah, of course, this is a map that FlipSid are very, very comfortable playing. T-side is something that Navi is fairly renowned for with their slow plays. However, if this gets too far out of control, I'm sure that a certain amount of rounds have to be left available for FlipSid to play. Like you'd say, they could definitely take at least 10 rounds on the CT side of this map. Most teams can, so it really is up to Navi to bounce back here. They've got the AWP back onto Guardian. They've got the rifles in play. The utility is slightly lacking, though, so there is some exploitation to be made by FlipSid in this round.
Zeus is going to place himself outside of the Ivy area. It'll be Markaloff that tries to push this in from FlipSid's end of this. And again, they're just trying to line up the default early on. First kill is going to go by the way of Waylander as he shuts down Edward there. Very heavy cost to his own HP, of course. As you can see, down to 9 for himself now. But still no actual trade coming out for Navi. So it's still going to lead to a man advantage in the T's favor.
Yeah, and that was actually very clever from Waylander. He falls back instantly, doesn't give any chance for Guardian to make that trade. You could see him looking for it, and it was just like, no, I'm out of here. I'm just going to take that man advantage, allow Blade to reset us up in a 5 versus 4 scenario, and, well, again, 3 players over towards the A side. It does leave a huge amount of work for C's to be doing here, and earlier they did have Flamey sort of backing him up a little bit, but this time there is nobody else there, and it is 2 players currently over in that scenario. They get to really dedicate themselves once again. 35 seconds left on the clock. They will have to make their move, and now the A side push does look like it's about to be built up. They're going through the pop dog scenario. Obviously, Waylander, he's taking point. He doesn't have much HP, so the first pick will go to Guardian. He's going to be looking to try and find a second, but World Edit instantly trades, and we also find Blade finding one in the meantime. Missed shot there, actually, from World Edit. A bit surprising, but nevertheless, Markolov's in point. He takes him down, and it's only going to be C's left in a 1 versus 3. And I feel like I've said 1 versus 3 so many times already in this game because the entry frags are just going to FlipSid every single time.
World Edit again holding his own against the pressure as it comes out initially there and able to pick up 1 more kill. Did shake up a little bit when he did have to get mobile to move in for 1, but thankfully the impact that was already had along with the kills that Markaloff was able to find in that round didn't really end up making much of a difference in the big scheme of things, and we'll be on to another eco round once again for Navi.
Well, and already 6 rounds on the board for FlipSid. They're looking hot today. They look like they've stepped up their game. Maybe Train is not the map that Navi should have let go through the pool. Obviously, they had the choice of the litter after Cash was taken out of the round, and, well, clearly they thought that this was the one that they could do well on after yesterday's performance, but so far it's not looking that way. Obviously, they are deadly with the pistols on occasion, but this is too much to ask for, and even with a dink there, World Edit quick enough on the trigger that he takes that kill, and Shara finds another straight off the bat.
C's pushing himself down now to retreat away from the more aggressive push. He was looking to posture himself up towards at the beginning of this round. He now has to retreat inside of the A-bomb site because Blade and Markaloff, well, they don't even have to do anything aggressive. They just sit back inside of T-Con, and they've been fed a couple kills. As Navi just continue to push in. And look, there's going to be C's picking up 1, looking for a second. He almost grabs it. Brings World Edit down pretty low, and Markaloff, the same story there, but he needs to start finishing these players off very soon, and just doesn't look like it's happening. Finally, Markaloff does take him down, and it's another one. FlipSid continue to stack up round after round onto the board now.
Yeah, no real picks came in that round except for the, well, they did a bit of damage. We saw actually Guardian do a little bit of work early on, but nevertheless, they only take down 1 player. The money still pretty good actually at the moment for FlipSid. 7 rounds already, 1 away from winning the half, and that double up setup comes back in. Glass cannon for Guardian. Been finding a few picks, but really it's the remainder of the players that we're not seeing anything come out from. C's sort of getting shut down over towards that B side. Flamey hasn't been the sort of influential player we mentioned earlier on, and well, Zeus, I'm not even sure if he's on the board. I haven't seen much from him at all as of yet, but Blade and C's finding a couple of kills to start off the round. Obviously Blade as well taking quite a bit of damage, so this is looking a little bit better from Navi. The push yet to properly come in, but Blade, he's completely isolated over by Electric Box, and if they don't find this kill, if he manages to escape, this could be a little bit questionable from Navi.
Blade's stuck here, but he does have a couple more teammates ready to go for the entry onto the site. Smoke's going to get tossed up at the CTs, but Blade's actually going to use this to push forward now that all the attention's drawn over there. It's going to work out great as he finds that kill onto Flamey now. Opening up the pathway, Seas does respond by taking down Blade. The problem, though, is that immediately after that again, we'll see FlipSid finding another trade. It's Waylander dropping Edward. The site's clear. They're good to plant this. Markelov's going to be further up onto the site, but the positioning is still really good here for FlipSid, and unless they spot Guardian now, he could maybe throw a bit of a wrench in the chain, and there we go. Guardian pushing out, finding the first pickup on the Markelov, and now he's just got to take down the other two. Spotted Shard on top of the green train. That flashbang is going to be perfect, but he doesn't actually get off of the train. Regardless, though, C's pushing in, does some great damage, takes down Shara, and as well, almost eliminates Waylander. It's going to be brought down to the 1v1. Waylander trying to figure out exactly where he's playing from now, but Guardian pushing in. They both go for the no-scopes. Everybody going to miss. Just looking for a connection. It's up on Abdul, but neither of them can meet it. However, the bomb's down.
Anyway.
They're going to be connecting a little bit there, but at the end of the day, it's going to be Waylander that closes things out. FlipSid find another round and continue to rampage against Navi.
Now let me ask you this. Would Guardian have found both of those shots a month or two ago? That's the question I sort of have to ask myself. Like, especially when he had, what, 3 attempts there to take down Waylander, didn't hit a single one. Obviously, I don't think he had a kit anyway because he was glass cannon nevertheless, but either way, this is looking dire, and we can see the pause already coming in. There's no surprise that this is happening. Navi, a team that's very happy to use that pause, and it's very important that at the very least they stop the momentum at FlipSid. And sort of something that I do want to bring up is this sort of domestic duel at the moment. Like, obviously, this is the Ukrainians. They'll know each other very, very well. Most of these players have played together on occasions, either in that team or in Navi or Hellraisers or any iteration of a Ukrainian team. And by the looks of things, at the moment, Blade just has the number of Navi.
So not only this, but you were correct when you mentioned, I think it was a round or two ago, that we had yet to see Zeus find a single frag onto the board, currently sitting at 0, 3, and 8. Not the best map for him.
Well, I feel like in this team, Zeus is sometimes always the one that you sort of bring up that on occasions he can just completely disappear from the map and go completely on tilt and just go like absolutely crazy. Like, I think there's been so many times that people have brought up where you just see him go absolutely mental, and he needs to sort of bring himself back into the game, because at the moment 0 to 8, it doesn't particularly matter on occasions where he can do this, like when Guardian goes off, Flamey goes off, well, Seized Ed, anyone. But in this matchup, at the moment, they need someone to start picking up the frags, because they're just getting into, 3v5s so early on in rounds that after a while, it doesn't matter if Guardian takes down 2 players. It doesn't matter if Seized is still hitting shots with the orb, because the round is already over.
Well, Navi, after the tactical pause, they're going to be ready to get back into this game. Of course, still going to be on an eco round here, so won't really see anything from this pause coming into effect right now. Maybe they have a different game plan heading into the 11th round. It's just, unfortunately, at this point in time, not only are they strategically just getting outmatched by FlipSid, when it comes to just raw fragging power too, and economically even, Navi just, like we talked about this at the beginning of the game, is that they're going to control the C side economy. They've been doing a horrible job at it, and this time C's probably going to get caught completely off guard by the push coming out. Waylander already picking up the first kill. There is a second player over on upper there. C's and Edward hold their own, keeping it to even trades, but there's Char bringing it back for the side of FlipSid as he moves in. World, grabbing another kill on a Zeus. Just like that, they're back in control of the situation.
Yeah, a little bit of damage done at least by the CT side. I'm not sure how much Guardian could hope to achieve. Obviously, we've seen crazy stuff from him in the past. It would be nice if he could step up now and bring them a ridiculous round, but he's going to go for those one taps. They know exactly where he is. Peek out from Shara, takes down Guardian. 3 players survive. That's more than enough, and their money's already in a pretty good scenario with a couple of players around 10K.
Double off setup going to be coming in yet again for Navi here. They'll try this once more to see if they can finally find enough of an impact with it. Flamey going to be picking up the rifle as well, as the guys on FlipSid continue just to push through this round after round. And they're, again, as I said before, like they're out-stratting Navi, but it's not even like they're doing anything that intense. It's mostly just this default setup that we've seen. This has to have been like 5 or 6 of the rounds they played have been to this, or in that last round, just a pretty straightforward B hit. This is not anything that Navi should have any trouble reading and trying to position themselves to counter. It's just they cannot seem to hold against the entries that are coming in from the T side right now.
But that's the problem. All it really is it's just a 5-man push onto a site where there's normally only 4 people, because they've already found that entry kill. I would actually like to see the stats of how many times the first kill has actually gone to FlipSid, because it's ridiculous. Somebody's making a mistake every single time, or World Ed is peeking out and finding a shot. And then all they really do is, it's either the A hit through Pop Dog and through main, where they just push out and eventually just trade into a favorable position, or they just rush down B, and by that point, Seized is just going to get overwhelmed. There's nothing he can do unless he's just going to spray down 5 players. But this time, Guardian does find the flick. He finds that initial kill. Markelov is down and out of the round. Finally, something going their way, but we've seen this happen before. It's that second kill, it's that next kill that really is going to be something here. And there we go. He's going to win that battle with World Edit as well. This is much better at the moment from Navi. 5 players still intact versus 3. And, well, hopefully they can get themselves back on the board after a long hiatus.
Guardian coming back into the mix there now with those 2 frags. Been quite silent for the past couple of rounds. Shara, though, going to try to sneak in. Not accounting for Zeus sitting behind the blue train, and he's going to find a kill. Blade and Waylander are left as the final 2 alive, but they're falling away from this one now. They're going to try to go for a last-ditch push into the B site, but C says no to that one. Grabs the flick on the Waylander. All that's left alive is Blade. He's got 20 seconds left on the clock. Still has the bomb under his control, but he's going to walk right into the crosshairs of C's. And he'll find a second kill for himself and end the round for Navi as they finally pick up a second round.
Well, this is sort of the exact sort of round we saw them win previously. The only other round they've won was just a pick play coming out from those AWPs. They managed to take down a couple of players. Obviously, welcome to the board, Zeus. He's now got his first kill in the game, which is at least something to be happy about. But yeah, these couple of picks from Guardian. Also the repeat there from World Edit. This time he doesn't get punished. That's happened so many times already where World Edit's just gone, okay, you've taken the first kill. I'm going to take the peek and take you down. But this time Guardian was ready. And now what we actually see... Is this what it says tactical, but
it's not tactical.
Yeah, it has to be technical because they've already got attack.
Yeah, I think Edward crashed.
Okay, well,
and they need a reload now because I think he bought stuff and it's gone.
Well, let's hope that that doesn't break their 1 round momentum because that would be tragic. But flip side, obviously their money, it's not too bad. I think, well, I'm guessing Markelov has already bought back up, or maybe even the whole team has bought back up. But in this scenario, it does look like, well, if Navi can win a couple of rounds, they actually have a chance to break the T economy, and then they could get themselves to 6. And obviously from 6, if they win the pistol, it's plausible. Especially a team like Navi, they are very good on the T side, very good at that slow play, making those picks with Guardian on that AWP. If they can do that, then yes, there's a chance. Of course, after this, they are going over to Overpass, which is a map that they are very good at. Their record isn't great, but it's sort of overshadowed by their online performance, which seems to fall off, especially well.
I mean, like Overpass is like the El Clasico map, right? Like we've seen the great matches they had versus LG all the time now, because that's like the.
Well, in the major, it went off a little bit after they lost Mirage, and then they just sort of went full tilt. But yeah, I know what you mean. There's those maps like with the nice little boosts we see. But anyway, to cut that short, we are back into the game. We are seeing the full buy from both teams. AWP back onto World Edit. The double up setup does remain. But this is the round. This is the important round. And straight away, we're going to see C's drop.
Well, that it so far has to be like probably the most consistent force in this matchup, and that's what really seems to be killing Navi. Navi, they're great at, like at least they're not being completely scared of going for these aggressive pushes. They still have the attitude to try and push for these. It's just that they're never really working out. They can never really seem to stop World Edit. They're constantly moving World Edit around too. He's never always in the same position. And with that, that's constantly keeping things as a bit of a surprise for Navi. So where exactly he's going to be lurking, since he's the big man in the play here for FlipSid.
Yeah, and this is just going back to what we saw before, where they managed to get that entry kill, and now they can just slow things down, try and find themselves another kill. Maybe, look, they even go for a nifty little boost over towards the smoke just to try and find things, but there we go, the Molotov going to be thrown in. Yeah, you're not doing that this time.
Zeus waiting around the corner too. If he times this correctly, he could push inside and lurk and wait for them to re-enter inside of the T-Con. That time is now passed, as we can see Blade getting ready to push himself back in, and they should be able to move in and retrieve the bomb in just a moment here as well, but that's going to push its way over there towards the ladder room. No pressure going towards Ivy, so it's going to be a 3-2 entry split here, but there we go, Zeus, no. That's the timing we were looking for, moves in, catches Blade completely unawares, and now they're going to have to switch this up to a B hit because the A hit's dead. They've lost one of their players pushing in. Guardian picking up the first shot. We've got another player right there on the corner. It's going to be Flamey able to assist, but they're held back in the ramp. They don't want to push themselves out now.
This is the deadly combo as well, the pincer between those two players. Guardian going to find another one. Flamey will be dropped. It's going to be Markelov left in the clutch situation, and it's not going to happen. 1 versus 3, not possible, and Edward takes down another kill for himself, and there we go. Navi managed to string 2 rounds together, and now, well, they are going to go for the force here. Markelov maybe forced down to something along the lines of a UMP or a Deagle in this case, and World Edit's still going to be on the AWP, but no utility for him. So this is the chance for Navi to get themselves closer to 6.
FlipSid now maybe losing their grasp a little bit after a hot start into this matchup. They're bouncing back, the crowd in their favor, it would seem. But it's all about if they can keep things better, and it seems like Guardian's definitely stepped up now in these past couple of rounds. Finally connecting those shots, is warmed up a little bit now.
Yeah, starting to really make those entry kills that are so important for a map like this, where they just don't allow the T's to sort of execute. And when they went rushing into that B site, he was ready, he was waiting. He had Flamey to back him up in the position as well. And it was just a lovely combo. But this is it. This is where the T's, if they are going to take this even more, if they're going to make things even worse, put that final nail towards that coffin, they're going to have to like play big in this round. Markelov, he's only on the Deagle. He does have quite a bit of utility. That's why he is skimped and not gone for anything a little bit better. But in this scenario, it does look like they're building up possibly towards an A here again. Quite a lot of players currently edging towards Pop Dog around B. They're just taking things again very, very slowly, trying not to give away an early frag to that AWP or AWPs as it may be. And Wild at it again, just going to be scoping out the area.
Throw away, and it'll be Edward as the point man to stop this ladder push, and that's actually going to be a great flashbang that blinds Zeus entirely, but there's no follow-up on it from FlipSid. Edward pushing up a little bit more now that he has that smoke inside of the ladder room. Going to try and catch anybody pushing out from TCon, but they do abandon the hit for now. Heading back up the ladder. They still have the possibility for it alive, but they've also still got those players in the back of B too, so it's the same lineup as before. And depending on how this hit comes out from TCon is going to determine how the actual entry goes. And now, this is actually really just wasting time so that the ladder room players can shuffle that onto the site. Zeus realizes it, picks up the first kill, but Waylander finds 2 for himself. Blade's going to find a 3rd as he moves in, dropping down on a Zeus, just down to Flamey and Seas. They move in, they quickly try to go for the plant. Markelov finding another kill. The bomb goes onto the floor, and it just left it Flamey. Nicely done on the take from FlipSid, using the TCon push as a distraction, essentially. And all this allows for the players over in ladder room to funnel out.
Well, Blade was basically just playing a look at me sort of strategy. Just, yeah, keep staring in my direction. Don't just ignore those players currently coming out of the ladder room. And, well, the second that happened, Waylander instantly finds 2 frags. He's been so much better today already than what we saw yesterday. Especially, well, when we saw on the first map, Cobble, he was yet to be seen. So the fact that he's woken up hot today is a very, very important thing. Blade clearly much more practiced by the looks of things on train. They're looking very, very good on this map, and so far everybody on the team is doing well. And as you can see, Waylander right at that top of the board. Shara been a little bit quiet, but to be honest, with 10 rounds on the T side, I don't think they're going to be too worried about that one.
Nope, not at all. This is a huge lead regardless of the outcome of these final 2 rounds here. Even if Navi do bounce back and manage to bring themselves up to 5-10, this is still an amazingly advantageous half for FlipSid, and it would be quite surprising if they managed to throw this away in the second half, regardless of how good Navi's T-side tends to be.
Yeah, well, you'd hope, especially, well, we mentioned Blade quite a lot, you'd hope his CT setups are up to standard. You'd think that he would be ready and waiting, but here we go. This looks like it could be a much faster play, although they have just thrown a lot of nades in, possibly trying to bait a few players over because they're yet to really push into the site, just waiting for the nades to settle. Wild at it already looking for a bit of a peek. Guardian trying to spot someone towards the Ivy area, but not going to find anything as of yet. The boost going to be used again. They've used this a few times now, and there we go. It works once more. Zeus out of the round once again. The pistol only going to be onto Edward as well, so this buy is already lackluster, and well, this is a round that this could bring it to 12-3, and then the pistol could end the game on its own.
Navi already down a man here at this point, and it's one of the ones with big guns too. C's going to lurk around, but he misses the flick. It's going to be so detrimental now as Waylander finds another pickup here for the side of FlipSid.
And these are the sort of big plays that players like C's, they sometimes make. And unfortunately today it just hasn't gone his way. He's found a few decent AWP kills, but in the grand scale of things, I don't think it's been working out too well for him. Doesn't normally go for an AWP too often, so it is quite an interesting pickup. But anyway, we're going to see Guardian now holding over towards that B side. Does look like the push is ready to build up towards A, though. 40 seconds left on the clock. Only 3 players remain. They're going to have to go absolutely huge. Of course, these players do have the potential to do just that, but in this matchup so far, we've not seen anything of the sort. And here we go. Shara going to be the first one pushing into the site, going for that entry. Not going to find it. It will be Edward actually dropping the bomb. And now they know where this push is coming. Now the final 3 players can rotate in, but Wild at it instantly trading. Doing that so many times in this game. Guardian, lovely positioning, will find the kill, and now it's back to a 2 versus 3.
Flamey is stuck behind the flames, ironically enough. Can't find a way back into the site as of yet, and Guardian's lurking around, trying to look for a way to get himself into a good position to flank this. Still a 2v3. This is still a possible retake that they could work for. But they're going to have to move in and start to find these frags soon. Guardian checking over there towards Heaven, looking for an opposing force up there, which he can try and take down. Blade's still hiding out. Flamey, though, look at how far he's pushed up. They haven't spotted him as of yet, but Blade spotted the feet of Guardian. Flamey's going to find a first kill. There's Guardian with another pickup. World Edit does respond, and now again we'll be down to a 1 versus 1 between Oppers. World Edit going to try to close this out with just the pistol there. The flick comes out, and World Edit wins it with the pistol, takes down Guardian, and it'll be an 11th round for FlipSid.
That is what you call confidence right there. He goes with the Glock, and he's just going to find that kill. Guardian misses the shot. Not something I feel many casters would have said in their career, but he wasn't able to find it, and unfortunately that's been the story of his game. He's found some nice entry kills, but sometimes in the crucial moments he's just missing those shots, and now it's going to be, well, an absolutely horrific buy coming out. A Mag 7 onto Flamey, pistols galore, and a few nades to play with, but already 11 rounds for FlipSid. They are taking this one very, very convincingly at the moment.
Taking Navi to the cleaners.
Yeah, this is, well, this is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, like, if Navi wins at least this round, which is unlikely concerning the bye, it is recoverable. 11-4 is like still a fairly volatile halftime score if the team that's down below and manages to win pistol in the first, first 2 rounds after that, along with the gun round, then they're back into the game pretty quickly. But 12-3 is like the tilt point to where, all right, good luck getting back into the game essentially with that kind of a scoreline. Well, we have seen it before, but it's very, very hard to accomplish.
Especially, well, this is sort of the score that you'd see on the other side of the map. That's what's so crazy about what FlipSid are currently doing. They're absolutely dominating the T side. The strategy is just, it is there, but the fact is, a lot of the time, as you've mentioned before, it's just the fragging power. Nobody's really stepping up at the moment for Navi. We've seen a couple of rounds again from Guardian, Seized having some AWP kills, but Flamey has been pretty absent. Zeus, 1 or 2 kills, very, very little on the board at all. And at the moment, it's just looking like FlipSid have this one in the bag unless something drastic can change. And straight away, we're going to see Markelov finding that entry kill. Once again, Guardian is down and out. Obviously, there are a few players left. Flamey up close with the mag could do some impact here. Edward going to find one. That's something to play with. He's got himself the AK as well. 30 seconds left on the clock. If he can find this kill, that's one more. This is much better from Navi. However, there's still 3 players remaining. They do have to better buy.
They've got no way into the site, though, so they're going to have to try and change this to a B hit, and this should be an easy read for Navi. Yep, they've already rotated 2 players in. Zeus is going to stick back to line up the flank. Flamey's up close, but he misses that shot. World at it, Shara find 2, but so does Seas and Edward, and it's all on World at it now with 3 HP. Somehow, Navi have pieced this round into their favor. There's no way World at it is clutching this. He's going to be able to get that bomb now with just enough time on the clock, but Zeus comes in and denies it anyway. So Navi do manage to scrape together at one final round towards the end of the half, and it will be 11-4, still a huge advantage for FlipSid.
Yeah, it does look like the pause made a little bit of a difference, because I think they were, they did it when they lost 8 rounds, I think. So since then, they actually got it sort of a 3-all scenario. So it did make a bit of a difference, but at the same time, the scoreline is absolutely ridiculous at the moment for FlipSid. If they win this pistol, the game could be theirs, and it could be an absolute whitewash. Of course, Navi are the team that are able to grind back. We've seen them do it many a time. Whether they can do it here, I'm not so sure, and I'm hoping, for the sake of the best of 3, that Blade and his team will be able to clean this one out.
This is going to have to be an absolute, like a clean sweep from Navi, though, if they want to try and close this out. I've got a bad feeling that if we do see FlipSid manage to chain together even a few of these rounds, that Navi is not really going to be able to weather that very well whatsoever. It just overall as a team, because they've looked very weak here as a 5-man unit. We've been seeing some guys step up here and there, but for the most part, it's been a very weak individual game for most of these guys. Guardian even as well, who's the big player in this matchup, along with Seas. We've seen him show up in maybe like 2 or 3 rounds with some big plays, but that's it.
Yeah.
We have not seen him be this huge player that he's been in the past before he had to take a break due to his injury and whatnot. So for FlipSid, it's definitely been World Edit, it's been Waylander, even Markelov stepping up in a couple of those rounds too. It's been a much more consistent presence from some of the fraggers on FlipSid.
Well, even some of the support play I've actually enjoyed from Blade, like when the round where he was just sort of baiting out the shots from Zeus, almost like just pulling him over, just like with a red flag, or just like pulling over the ball into his position. But it seems like everybody at the moment on FlipSid is doing some sort of work. Even Shara going in for entry kills, just trying to find the initial start. And here are some of the boosts already, like World Edit with the AWP. He's been so influential in this game. Someone that the analyst desk we mentioned as well, that if he can go big, yeah, it'll be huge in this game, and it is necessary. Here is probably one of the only rounds that we saw where Guardian actually managed to win the duel. And, well, World Edit, for me, has been the best player in this game so far, with his trades especially.
And this is the last round there. We did manage to see Edward pick up a nice kill, and this was sort of the turn of the tides as far as that last round was concerned, because of the fact that he gets that AK. Sort of starts this chaos where Navi had no business winning that round whatsoever. They do manage to somehow piece that together. But now we do go back into the second half, guys. Navi's going to jump onto the T side and FlipSid on the CT side. And yep, it is going to be a very quick play over to the inner site here. Shara tries to hold it, but has to quickly fall back. Unfortunately, though, he's going to try to go out to the open. That doesn't work out very well. Edward and Flamey finding the first 2 pickups for Navi. Waylander did respond with one of his own on towards Edward, but it still left things in the favor of Navi. They've got a lot of control of this site with FlipSid, a lot to gain back.
Well, I think the percentage stats on this map say this is, out of all the maps, the retake potential on this site and on its own is the highest on any map, but we'll see whether or not that is the case. And already we see a couple of kills coming in. We're back to a 2 versus 2. Wild Edit finding one more, and it's going to be all down to Seized And the kit is already going for that defuse. The Molotov going to be
Dream
thrown out,
volley.
but it's not going to matter. He's just going to defuse the bomb. That's going to be it. And, whoa, the stat reigns true. 1 HP as well.
Not only that, yeah, Blade going to survive that encounter with just a single health point left. Had the volley going in. Did he have thrown that maybe a second or two earlier? Less than that, in all honesty. That probably would have been enough damage in order to take him down, but it was not meant to be.
Pros don't fake. Pros don't fake. 1 second there and he would have been out. So great stuff there. Diffuses the bomb, wins them the round, and well, it looked like Navi had that in the bag. They got a couple of entry kills, they had the bomb down, they have 4 players remaining, and things just quickly turned against them. The bomb's diffused and there's nothing C's can do about it.
I mean, we didn't get to talk about this too much back when they were on the CT side, but I feel like the same issues appeared once again as soon as they had to go on the defense for post plants. They're so aggressive with their positioning. They're taking these wide swings, all these big open duels, and they keep losing them. I feel like they have the individual advantage in this matchup, but it just doesn't seem like it's the case right now. They need to sit back, chillax, play a little bit more passive here, because right now they keep going out in the open to take these duels and they're just always losing them.
Good position from Blade here, getting a little bit of damage actually. Going down to 31 HP. They have actually invested a scout into Guardian as well. I think Zeus has dropped that over to him, so they are going all out in this round. Of course, the bomb was planted, so this is a heavy investment. Sees with the AK, he's going to be having to do so much in this round, but he has already done a little bit of initial damage. We can see 3 rifles currently on the CT side. 1 is low already. And already they've actually gained quite a bit of presence here with C's pushing all the way down the side of the site. However, the first kill will come into Blade. Markelov finding another one seized. It doesn't matter if he has the AK, if all his players die around him, but he's going to be pushing in, looking for Markelov over towards Ivy.
C still has his good position, but he's yet to frag with any of this. Now he's going to have to move in very quickly. There's Guardian with the first pickup, but it's all down to Guardian and C's now. Finally, C's moving out, picks up the kill. Shara did find the one on the drop onto Edward as it's down to those 2, but C's moving out, finds another one. Evens things out into a 2-on-2, still very low health with Guardian and C's. However, C's looking for another one, but he cannot pick it up. He will be finally eliminated by Shara, and this leaves everything into the hands of Guardian. He's going to try to make a last-ditch attempt to get closer to that B-bomb site. Shara has already read this, and he's on the way to defend the site. I don't even know if Guardian can get this plan. If Shara just runs up there, he can take him down with ease.
Well, just going to be waiting. Guardian going to be moving out, but I feel like he's going to have to fall back very quickly. And Shara, he's there, he's waiting. He's just going to find the instant frag. They will be able to save at least one of those rifles. I'm not sure if they'll get a second. There we go. Walded actually going to pick up the AK. He'll be able to drop that over to one of his teammates. And, well, the thing is here is Navi going to continue to force because they did get the bomb down. They got a little bit of extra cash, but the fact is, well, I'm not sure whether it's worth saving into the next round and just going all out from pretty much 14, or whether they will just invest. And more from Zeus's position already, we can see they are going to be buying up. They want to break that CT economy straight away, but already we can see the man of the hour, World Edit, on that AWP.
With him having that in hand, I can hear the bells tolling for Navi. As we mentioned before, even on the T side, he was definitely a very big impact and one allowed FlipSid to get onto the site so many times, and that's going to increase tenfold now that he's on the CT side. Seemed to be fairly stable with his positioning, and I mean, he's going to be able to do that with ease back over here on the CT side, even more so now. So for Navi, trying to line up the default hit into the A site now. They have Ivy presence coming in from both Flamey and Seized, and also keeping Guardian back to get ready to push into T-Connector, while they'll have Edward and Zeus just make some noise closer to the B-bomb site.
Well, they've got to try and get up close and personal. They've got 3 players currently on Tech 9s, and to be honest, getting close and personal can be relatively difficult, especially with the majority of the initial pushes going to be in long-range positions. However, if they can get themselves onto that A side, there's a lot more positions where that Tech 9 can be useful. I feel at the moment, though, that AWP of World Edit going to be playing over towards the B site, so I feel like this has to be an A take, and just looking from the presence over towards Ivy at the moment, I feel like that is going to be the case, and it will come down to the remaining few players over towards that site. We do have Markelov currently sat waiting there, and actually he has some support as well, so the 2 players over towards Ivy may be in trouble relatively soon. 40 seconds left on the clock. They now see the push coming in. The bomb yet to really be decided though, but Markelov going to be throwing in. He's going to throw a Molotov to slow this down even more. 35 seconds left on the clock. The play is still building up from Navi, and they don't have too much left to play with either.
Markelov already just holding back the wayside now. Guardian has pushed his way in successfully, but he's going to get decked by Blade. Nice shots coming up from him. Looking for some more pickups. They've got no way to push themselves through Ivy there as more kills boil out here for FlipSid. Markelov, Blade, just rocking him up now. It's all on Edward's hands, but he's only got 12 seconds left to win a 1-on-3 or get that bomb onto the floor. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to accomplish either of those things as Markelov does find the final frag. FlipSid will sit only 2 rounds away now from closing out their first map versus Navi.
Did you say 1-on-3? I feel like we've said that probably about 5 or 6 times in this matchup. It's absolutely ridiculous. The FlipSid are always in these favorable positions. They're finding the kills so quickly, and to be honest, honest, all that was just great use of utility. They're just throwing it down to slow down the push. That is the one problem with this Navi style of play, and they just had to try and force the issue. And it just looked like, again, they were red. It was easy for the CT side. Didn't actually have to break a sweat in the majority of those situations. And well, now they're back to pistols again. They have an AK onto C's once more. No head armor for him, but this time Markelov going with the secondary AWP. It was mentioned on the desk they want to see him go for it once more. I think it was Natu who said that, and it doesn't work this time. Nice shot there from, actually it was Guardian finding that kill, but nevertheless it is still a 3 versus 3. The AWP on World Edit, someone who has been very consistent in this game, but the push has in the meantime come onto the A side. The bomb going to be picked up, possibly rotated away. Not sure what they're actually going to go for here. Guardian going to be taken down, and well, back to a 3 versus 2. Will it go to a 1v3 once more? Yes, it will.
Finds a foot shot there to take down Guardian as he was trying to push himself up to the site. Doesn't work out. Again, last attempt from Edward to try and switch himself over to a B hit. I'm actually surprised we didn't already see FlipSid getting a read on this. So he may be, I'm not even going to say may, he will be able to rush over to the B side and get the plant now. So
it just depends how much time he actually takes, because World Edit also going to be waiting up there. And actually, there we go. He's finally missed a shot. I think that's only the second shot I've seen him miss this whole game. Been on point, and now the Molotov going to be thrown out. Will he find this kill? World Edit very low, but Waylander will save his buddy. 2 HP on World Edit, but that is enough to survive. And we're actually possibly going to see that secondary AWP being picked up. It looks like Waylander was making his way over towards the A site, and actually, yeah, it looks like they're going to just wait out the time to get themselves that secondary AWP. Shower, obviously, with very little in his hand, so he will just go pick up that other AK as well. So they are going to keep the double AWP setup in play. It didn't seem to work out too well this round. Obviously, Markelov probably going to give it another go, and well, everybody today is looking on point. Every single player has stepped up on occasion, and especially World Edit, Waylander, they are, well, World Edit is just sort of playing the same as yesterday. He was on point on Inferno, but Waylander especially, he's gone from pretty much bottom of the board to one of the most influential players in this game.
Might as well pick that secondary up, of course, now having that extra firepower into the round, especially with Navi. Mainly focusing on these A hits, having a second up, especially if you can shift it over to the site, can be very useful. But it does look like Navi themselves are going to be changing up the play on this round, making it a B hit instead, with all 5 players getting ready to push in. This will be their last attempt to try and stop FlipSid from winning. And now, even if they do win this, keep in mind that after this round, they would need to win 10 in a row just to take it into overtime as well. So the odds are definitely stacked pretty heavily against Navi. Already the first kill coming out for World Edit here. Edward's going to try to turn the scales, but Shara didn't even spot him. He's up on top of the train there. He finds him to pick up on Edward and is able to safely fall back. Zeus and Flamey try to turn this back around as they're going to pick up 2 nice hits there, dropping both Shara and Waylander. There's World Edit, though, holding nicely, shuts out Zeus. It's into a 3-on-2 with Flamey already heavily injured.
Well, they're going to know where one of these players is due to the bomb plant. I think they may have already spotted out the second. Obviously, both players now do have rifles, but Flamey, he gets taken down through the smoke. Guardian in a 1 versus 3, and it's all but over. Markelov does find a kill with that AWP, and this is done and dusted. A 16-4 for FlipSid, a phenomenal T side, a standard pretty much CT side, and well, Navi are 1 map away from being out as bottom, or joint bottom.
Yeah. Joining the bottom of the ranks now with SK, as it would seem.
Yeah, well, SK Navi in the same boat. Could that happen?
You definitely wouldn't have predicted that, like coming blindly into this event with no other information. So
well,
that's
they have won a map though. They've won a map yesterday, so they haven't done quite as bad as of yet. Of course, there is still Overpass. They are a very good Overpass team. The FlipSid are going to have their work cut out, but that is a brilliant start, and their momentum, just their morale as well after destroying piece by piece every single round pretty much, Navi.
I mean, here's the problem from Navi, is that I still feel like they feel that they're this like amazing, like top tier team where all the players are going to be able to take these 1 versus 1s. I mentioned it at the beginning of the T side at half, is that like they're playing so aggressively, they're always going out to take these duels and whatnot, and they just could never win any of them. There was no good individual performances. So anyway, guys, that is going to close out map number 1. Map number 2 should be coming up in just a little bit, so be sure to stick around for that, and we'll be right back here with more of the Starlight Invitational live from the Kiev Arena.
16-4. If there was ever a way FlipSid would have liked to start this series, that would be it. What an absolutely amazing performance, guys. We need to go through what exactly happened and how FlipSid were able to control that matchup.
For me, at least, it all started in the first round already, where
FlipSide didn't even have to do anything.
Yeah.
They got the first 3 kills without effort. Getting pushed for Guardian, pushed Ali. He got picked off right away. Then another person, I think it was Edward, trying to peek Ali, got destroyed. And then one player pushing Team Main, getting destroyed. So that was kind of set the pace for the entire first half, right?
Would you guys like to go straight into round? Because there's a round that one of the rounds that you'd like to talk about is round 4. Would you like to go straight into it? Because that's right after the pistol round, and it's quite important.
Yeah,
right?
I mean we could do that if we can get that going right away.
Yeah, there we
Why
go.
not?
It's on screen right now, and this is one of the early rounds, following on from what you just said.
Yeah, basically what we have here is like just the way that FlipSide was playing. It was really methodical, really slow. They were going by the picks. This one actually is an example of how it doesn't work. What's the issue with it? Is that when you play down the clock really low. First, you had here Markelov earlier trying to work Ali, basically 2-man, but Zeus playing really passively, not giving anything to them. You had Shara and Waylander here towards the inner bomb site. Edward playing really smartly towards the ladder room. And then the problem really relies is that when you are all the way to, let's click that on. Let's fast forward a little bit.
There we go. We've got some movement now.
Yeah, this is where the attack happens, right? They smoke out yard. You can see them coming in. Edward ready at ladder. And then also you have Guardian here on top of 5 train. He gets the first 2 picks. And even C's getting one inner bomb side. And that's pretty much the round over, right? Because they didn't get any picks. They didn't have any room to work with.
Also, Edward down in the pub was like moving out of the pub as soon as he saw the smokes raining over because he knew that they were going to pub flash down. So as soon as that the pub that flash is popping, he just re-engages into the pub area and gets a free entry kill basically.
Yeah,
so.
but that was like one of the anomalies of the entire game though, because one of the things FlipSide did so well after this round was finding those first picks.
Now we're going to go into that
brilliantly.
Right away.
And the following round that we've got on screen right now,
so
let's get back into it, boys.
We would like to get back into that show. Yeah, round 5 is another round. So Vendetta, we'd like to talk about Vendetta, please.
Yeah, so this is the following round, and initially we saw the problem that FlipSide had. If they don't find the initial pick, then it's going to be really hard to actually break down the defense of Navi. But in this round, we're actually going to see Waylander and World Edit combine towards the Dark Walls here towards the inner bomb site. Have a pop flash for Waylander. It's going to pretty much flash out.
Yeah, even though Guardian opens things up, he gets a pick through the wall onto the top
onto
of ladder.
Shara, yeah.
Yeah, that's how things start off. Obviously, this is the way that you saw FlipSide play for the most part. Markelov just holding off Ali. There's basically 2 options for FlipSide. Either they had 2 playing Ali, trying to do brute force a play there to try to get the first pick, or they tried to do something towards the inner bomb side. Yeah. There you see Guardian getting that first pick.
Yeah, and what's going to happen now is that obviously FlipSide are down 1 man, but they're going to combine really nicely here. And you see Waylander and World Edit moving towards the inner bomb side. And what they're going to do is they're going to have Waylander post up here. He's going to do a pop flash through this hole. It's going to flash out Seized and Flamey if they're in any sort of open situation. And that's going to allow for World Edit here to get a pretty easy pick onto Seized eventually.
The timing was pretty much pitch perfect.
Yeah, and we were worried about that for FlipSide if they were actually going to be able to execute stuff properly. And there you can see the flash go through, cease to flash, easy pick for World Edit, and that opens up everything once again for FlipSide.
And a cost of rotation right now, and it's going to be FlipSide going on a bomb side. Even though it's 4-4, there's always going to be more gaps when you're playing against 4 CTs, and Navi manages to keep it relatively even throughout the situation, but getting the bomb down, having the positional advantage afterwards is what eventually is going to win the round for FlipSide.
Yeah, and to be fair also, I think it's FlipSide who's done some of their homework, because looking at yesterday, they also saw how this double AWP was working out for Navi, and you can see them like flashing away these kind of prime positions where especially Cease was playing, which was close on the lower ramp, seeing if he could get a pick on the cross. And yeah, now you see them explode out on the outer bump side, and obviously using some of the smokes for their advantage while getting out here to zone out different positions, and they just get some favorable trades.
Yeah, and just in general, what FlipSide did really well, because they get the first frag, and we'll let this round play out. But for the better part of it, after they got the first frag, they slowed everything down, and they basically forced Navi's hand and have them use all of their utility. And with about 30 seconds left, FlipSide still sit there with at least 3 smokes, a couple of Molotovs, and a couple of flashes, which is more than enough to actually execute onto, any of the bomb sites they want. And Navi on their end, they have to, get into awkward situations to make up for the fact that they don't have any utility left.
One of the things that we did see that we mentioned on the desk before the match began was if Waylander and World Edit could, show some of the skill that they have and perform. World Edit seemed to be doing pretty well with his AWP, and Waylander was making quite a few kills, and especially some impact kills on quite important rounds.
And a lot of entry kills,
Yes.
especially.
That's
like,
the thing, right?
Yeah, and also then World Edit, we saw with some of the easier clutches, I would say, where the time was ticking down for him, so he had the advantage, but he played them clever. He didn't overpeak, just used his off for his advantage, and that duo really did seem to work out very well, because Blade in the pre-game interview talked about Waylander maybe being not really comfortable with playing this kind of style, but he seemed to be fitting in quite well, because it was like he had a loose style where he had some things he had to
Look at them together. Look at them together here. That's a wonderful pick. The boost on the rating there. Looking
I
into
think
the back
that
of
the name of the
sight.
game really for Navi was just small mistakes everywhere happening. Them like it's not really Navi like to keep so many opening kills all the time, even though they're ones to be okay with taking fair aim duels, because they're more often than not they win it because of their raw firepower. But this time around it was just the other way around. It was flip side looking. It was like you would have maybe thought were the tags and mixed up. Was it flip side on T side? That's what it seemed like to me. And then we have one more round actually we can go through. That will kind of be a testament to the little issues, little problems they had when they were playing, especially, well, obviously CT side for the most part, but throughout that map.
One of the, just before we get into that rounds, one of the things that I think really hamstringed Navi in their attempt to come back was after getting the bomb down but losing the first pistol round on the second half, they bought They bought into the second round, and then they lost it, and then they just kept forcing after there because they tried to get back into it, and it just wasn't possible. Let's look at a couple of the graphics on screen, then get into a round. So map best players according to kills. World Edit, they're at the top with 21. Waylander shortly behind him, 17 to 11. A KD of 1.55. Markov and Blade as well, spreading the weight, 15 kills each, and then seized an equal amount to them, 15 kills, but with 17 deaths, meaning that he was in the negative KD range there. And then in terms of KD overall, World Edit, he only had 8 deaths, so that means his KD was 2.63, Markov 1.67, and the whole of FlipSide there topping that table. Of course, we can't get too drawn into saying KD is everything, but it's definitely telling that they were the guys in control.
16-4 scoreline, that tells the story on its own, right? So this is Navi right now is just in this weird hole that they started to dig yesterday and seem to be continuing today. It's like individually they're non-existent, that they're not playing off of each other that well either. So it just seems like they are out of sync completely.
They looked really bummed out as well when entering down from the presidential room towards the analyst desk. I met both World Edit and then the 5 Navi players, and obviously there's a difference. In face expressions and so on, but Navi really do seem bummed out. They don't seem a team who's like, okay, we lost the first map, we can still bring this back. They really seem like a team who's bummed out at the moment and who doesn't really know what to do of themselves.
Yeah, and it's strange because after they lost to Derby yesterday, StarX was saying, this is probably a good thing for us. It's a bit of a wake-up call, and we feel like we've made some good adjustments and we're ready to go into this game versus FlipSide, but apparently that wasn't the case at all. And
apparently they didn't wake up on the right side of bed this morning. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the wake-up call that they needed. Should we get into round 16, the other round that you guys wanted to give a little rundown of?
Piss around of the second half is what we're going to be looking at here. And we were just discussing the small little mistakes that Navi kept doing individually throughout the match. Basically what happens here is Navi's going to be plowing the inner bomb side. You have Seized with a Molotov and a smoke. He's going to be having this cheeky little smoke in the connector from T-spawn, basically. And this is them pushing up. And at this point, everything looks perfect, right? They're gaining a lot of control of the inner bomb site. Basically, the thing is, on the T side, once you've gotten the bomb site, this is around the area you need to be at, pressuring the CTs and making the retake that much harder for them to be able to, win the round, basically. But things get a little bit hairy as it gets...
It's important to push close, right? But it's also important to play together while you get close. And also you see Guardian kind of getting outplayed. He's close to this connector smoke, and the 2 of them jump out through the lower ramp, and one guy stays in connection. He thinks he can be clever and sneak up behind them, while one guy is actually waiting for him, and that gets dividends.
Yes, and then now you see it's going to be Blade and World Edit coming in. It's going to be Zeus, though, to trade up the kill. And at this moment, the situation right now is rather perfect for Navi. If Zeus, he needs to just play here. But instead, he's going to eventually go and just peek here, die, and it's going to be seized in a 1-on-2 situation.
Especially when seized as a Molotov, right? You don't necessarily need to win the round with a Molotov, but you can delay them as well, right? So Zeus doesn't have to go out yet.
That is exactly what I was alluding to here. So that seized had all the opportunities here to just fall back, go to high ramp, have the Molotov, he can throw it on top of the bomb to make the defuse take a much longer time. And Zeus could have just been around connector. He doesn't need to make a move here. Just make sure you're wasting time as much as possible and let Seized be the initiator of the situation. But as we're going to see here, it's going to be Zeus. He's going to try to peek, and he's going to go down.
And
now,
I think
Seized is
Blade
just going to
Very
be late
smart
here.
by Blade there to jump straight on the defuse, right?
I think he knows from yesterday as well, seeing this kind of strat, that Siege probably has a Molotov, and when seeing him at the lower ramp, he knows that it's going to take him some time before he's able to actually throw it from the higher ramp, so he just decides to stick it.
Yep. But there you have it. That's pretty much like the everything in a nutshell. It's just small mistakes everywhere. Like, I don't know if it's like anxiety issues in this situation. They haven't been competing for a while. You wouldn't think that would be an issue, considering how big veterans these players are. Someone like Zeus being around the block for, well, almost as long as I have. So you wouldn't think that that'd be an issue. But sometimes in those pressure situations, you just sort of tunnel vision. I feel like Zeus maybe had one of those moments.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've seen train now. We're going to move on to overpass. What do you think they're likely